Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are almost there. We're ready for the climax of WFS Live. If you've been with us since day one, since the very first panel, thank you so much for supporting this event. And it goes without saying, if you'll just indulge me just a moment, that this is a huge team effort. You have myself here broadcasting and taking you through the panels. However, there are so many people that I'd like to thank for all of their efforts. The WFS team in Madrid, everyone behind the scenes. You have no idea how many people really pour their heart and soul into preparing everything that you've seen over the last week. So many, many thanks from me. And I'm sure that is echoed throughout all of our delegates who are watching here on WFS Live. We took you through 32 panels in the first 4 days and plenty of highlights amongst them. We heard from Juan Mata on football as a force for good, as a way of affecting positive social change. Samuel Eto'o, of course, who it was a really wide-ranging interview, gave us a comment on Lionel Messi, paid a beautiful homage to Diego Maradona, who sadly passed away this week at the age of 60. We heard from Luis Saha on the prospects of doing good as well as doing well. We had some really powerful female-driven panels, gender equality, women's football really at the heart of our offering this year. We heard from some great leaders, Andrea Radrizzani of Leeds United, Javier Tebas of La Liga. We had some super agents who were explosive in their panel, Jonathan Barnett and Mina Raiola. We had lots of creativity around fan engagement and content. We had lots of innovation and technology as another focus. And we had everything thrown at us this week. We've had thunderstorms, we've had cats and cleaners video bombing our guests who've joined us, but we've managed to get through to this final panel. We do have one last treat for you all. We have decided to save the best until last. I'm not going to say too much because I'd much rather that these two take it away. It's a fitting way in which to conclude this second edition of WFS Live, bringing together effectively the First Lady of FIFA with the First Lady of Sport. So please welcome General Secretary at FIFA, Fatma Samoura, who will be speaking to good friend of ours, Carol Tshabalala. Carol, over to you.
Muchas gracias, David. What a great welcome for this. And we've certainly been enjoying everything that we've watched since day one, as you rightfully said, and the wonderful conversation. So essentially what we're going to do now, as we close the curtain on what has been an amazing edition of WFS Live, is speak, as you said, to one of the most celebrated personalities when it comes to the global game. And that's none other than the first female Secretary General at FIFA, Madame Fatma Samoura, who joins us now. Fatma, such an honor. So great to have you as part of WFS Live. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Carol. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to everyone who has tuned in. But before we kick things off, I want to take a moment to pay a special tribute to a monument of football, Diego Maradona, who left us on Wednesday. And like the rest of the world, his demise fills me with profound sadness. And I would like to take this opportunity to pay my heartfelt respect to him. My thoughts are with his family, his many friends, and of course, the football fans for whom he was a champion on the pitch and in their hearts. Back to you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Madam Samoura. Yes, we've been seeing your tributes as well that have been coming in, even from FIFA as a whole, throughout the week since we heard that really sad news, such a shock. World of football. It's been a really difficult year, hasn't it? And you look at what's transpired and how the global pandemic, COVID-19, has affected the beautiful game all over the world. Tell us how FIFA has been managing during this very difficult time.
Well, Carol, firstly, I would like to commend the World Football Summit team for an outstanding week of discussions and sharing also their opinions and ideas online. Indeed, in this a very difficult time we are all experiencing, it's wonderful to see that passion for football remains strong worldwide. Here at FIFA headquarters in Zurich, we often joke that football never sleeps. And despite the pandemic, this has been very much the case for the past 9 months. In many ways, FIFA has been very busy as a result of the COVID-19, as we are committed to making sure that our 211 member associations around the world have the support and the tools they need to keep going through this uncertain time. And back to you.
Yeah, I think that's very important, Madam Samora. As you said, we've had the member associations that really have been affected. What does this mean to them, the support that FIFA has been offering to the MAs across the globe?
Well, like the rest of the world, our member association never imagined of a situation where life would be put on pause, resulting in the suspension of most normal day-to-day activities. But practically speaking, the COVID-19 has affected our member association around the world in different ways. In many cases, the training had to stop, matches were cancelled, and fans were not allowed into stadium. So the effect on this range from member association not being able to upkeep training grounds and pitches to not being able to pay their staff and having to think about cutting programs and initiative in order to keep their light on and their door open. So it was clear following the official declaration of the pandemic by the World Health Organization in March that FIFA had to do everything in its power to preserve and protect football and our 211 member association. And in this new and disrupted world we were all living in. And in order to do so, the FIFA COVID relief plan was created to help our member association and the six confederation to tackle the challenge that the pandemic is throwing at them via the distribution of 1.5 billion US dollar in relief fund. More specifically, the fund is this plan was really groundbreaking and was designed to show football solidarity in action through 1 million US dollar grant to each member association so that they can protect and restart football. But additionally, they will also receive an extra 500,000 US dollar specially allocated for women football and can apply for an interest-free loan of up to 5 million US dollar. So the FIFA COVID plan provided financial resources necessary to the football community to safeguard the future of grassroots and youth football, as well as women and men's professional football. And on the ground, this means that the member association and the six confederation can keep the organization running, pay bills and salaries to coaches and team, carry out COVID-19 testing, and put the necessary safety measure in place to limit the spread of the virus. And since the FIFA COVID-19 relief plan was made available, the staff of the FIFA Member Association division in particular have been working very hard to assist our member association and the confederation to accessing this relief fund. So the result of the FIFA COVID-19 relief plan in action so far have been extremely positive and have bolstered FIFA commitment to preserving and protecting football even more during this difficult period. Every day we receive news from around the globe about the plan and how it has impacted the life of those involved in football. And I'm going to tell you just a very short story that is particularly moving, and is that of a female woman player in Sierra Leone who was the main breadwinner for her family. But when the pandemic hit, football stopped, so her club could not pay her salary. Her family was hit with a double misfortune of losing also additional income, and when an accident during which the house was burned down. So her mother became very sick from the stress of the whole situation and had to go to the hospital. And this female player not only struggled to cover the medical costs, but had to no home to bring her mom after she left the hospital. This is where the FIFA COVID-19 relief plan came into action. Through the distribution of funding to our member association, and in this case, the Sierra Leone FA, we were able to make sure that players like this young lady received the money they needed to keep them going. She's now thankfully rebuilding her life and her house, and her family are now in a much better situation. To give also another example, and there are many of like this, member association in Central Asia, for example, have told us how through the FIFA COVID relief plan, they could buy medical equipment like oxygen machines and COVID-19 testing kit, so that under the current health and safety protocol, they could start playing again, and something which players from national team were delighted with, given the effect that the total shutdown on training and matches was having on their physical and mental health. So to us, it's clear that the FIFA COVID plan offers our member association and the confederation four support pillars: a solidarity grant for member association, a women football grant for member association, and loans for member association and grant for confederation. And so far, 174 of our 211 member association have accessed the COVID-19 solidarity grant. And we have disbursed $87 million in total, and the second installment is just January. 108 member associations have also benefited from the grant for the women football development. And in total, we have distributed 69 million US dollar. The Confederation have also received funding as part of the COVID-19 grant, and altogether they received $12 million. And finally, our 8 member associations have applied for COVID-19 loans, for which we have disbursed $33 million, and more requests are in the pipeline. So in conclusion, I would say that the FIFA COVID-19 relief plan has allowed a sense of normality to come back to the football community, which in this time, I think we can all agree is priceless.
Agreed. It's been very impressive to see how quickly you got on top of the situation and realized all of the specific needs of the member associations around the world. It's interesting. You mentioned that we are living in a disrupted world, quite right. But when it comes to FIFA as an organization, I think through the years, you've had your fair share of disruptions. So one can understand how it is that you were able to almost get ready to tackle the disruptions that we've been facing this year. If you look at the situation, could it be said that maybe a crisis or a challenge or a disruption such as what we are going through right now, that maybe we could see a positive maybe for the beautiful game?
Well, absolutely, Carol. Disruption forces us to rethink our priorities and many aspects of the game that we all take for granted, and to also be able to focus on what is really important. Equally, times of challenge and crisis, although of course difficult, provide tremendous opportunities for challenges to be changed into positive, and also to improve everything we are doing to support the world of football. FIFA has indeed seen its own share, as you say, of disruption, and I'm happy to say that it is not the case anymore. And the days of FIFA being perceived as a toxic brand are hopefully relegated to the past. But it was this disruption to World Football Administration back in 2015, when we all saw those now infamous images of football executives hiding behind white sheets as they were arrested, that led to a new era for football and heralded the election of Gianni Infantino, one of the most positive disruptors, I should say. So when we look back at 2015, football and its governance was in turmoil. FIFA was clinically dead, and it's when you are faced with tackling and overcoming a situation like this that you realize things can only improve, and they have indeed. Football is in a much better place today in terms of accountability and good governance, but also in terms of inclusivity and gender equality. So in 2015, I'm sure people would never have been, let alone an African woman, could hold the position of FIFA Secretary General. They could also never have envisaged the rules and regulations that FIFA has put in place to ensure that the finance involved in the beautiful game are closely monitored, so they go into development of football and not in the pocket of few people. So to achieve this, FIFA created an audit and compliance committee. That was the first step. that was in charge of advising, assisting, and overseeing the FIFA Council in monitoring all the FIFA financial and compliance matter, as well as monitoring compliance with the FIFA governance regulation. It also monitors the distribution of and flows of development-related funds. Our establishment of the FIFA first ever compliance subdivision is further proof of FIFA's commitment to transparency and protecting the integrity of football. And last month, it held FIFA's third compliance summit, attended virtually by around 400 representatives from our 211 member associations around the world. And the discussion was focusing on implementing best practices on compliance with highly regarded compliance expert like the former US Attorney General Loretta Lynch, my former UN colleague, Director of the Ethics Office of the United Nations, Elia Armstrong, but also Thomas Vessel, the chairman of the FIFA Audit and Compliance Committee. In addition, we also unveiled the FIFA Compliance Handbook during that summit to provide the association tools needed to implement best compliance practice in football. And the disruption coming back that was caused in 2015 also led to the creation of a robust program to check eligibility of candidates for all FIFA bodies. So the bidding processes for the FIFA World Cup competition have also seen positive changes. You will remember that we have now new bidding regulation for the men's and the women's World Cup that include also public release of all the votes for the shortlisted bids and stringent standards for ethical conduct and commitment to sustainability, but also to human rights. And in fact, these changes saw a bulletproof bidding process for the 2023 edition of the FIFA Women's World Cup and the 2026 edition of the FIFA Men's World Cup. So all these positive changes, which came from the disruption of 2015 and the crisis it generated in the world football governance, have helped FIFA focus once again on living football and developing the game around the world. We are now working on remissions with the judicial system in the US to get back some of the funds that were taken by corrupt individuals back into football. And today also FIFA headquarters is a much open house, and prior to this pandemic, we were welcoming members of the public and the media very, very often. Now, our president is sitting at the table with some of the most powerful leaders in the world and meeting all these G20 leaders, and he's been invited twice, in fact, in this very high level meeting. He also meets with the organization like the United Nations, and in fact, the day after the pandemic was declared, he was meeting the World Health Organization executive director to talk about how FIFA can help them their program and also tackle the pandemic through football. And perhaps the greatest proof of disruption as a vehicle for change is seeing stars and icons of football work with us as part of the FIFA Legend program. We are delighted to have living legends of the game using their star power to reach fans around the world and to raise awareness of important matters like preventing the spread of coronavirus, staying mentally and physically fit during lockdown, and combating violence in the home. So with all this in mind, it's clear that disruption indeed can really be a tool for change and progress.
Yeah, it's so great that you're breaking down all of those various steps, particularly since 2015, that have been taken to really modernize an organization as old as FIFA. I mean, 116 years, over a century. And as rightfully said, that image is starting to change now in people's minds of what this organization is starting to look like. Definitely now becoming a woke, if you will, a woke organization. You're talking about this disrupted world in 2020. What can we look forward to in terms of football in the future?
Well, we can say in fact that, and I'm very proud to say so, that FIFA is very woke, and the image of middle-aged men in suits running global football is no more. Because now there are plenty of women from different ethnicities and backgrounds and religions sitting at the top tables of World Football Administration. And my appointment by Gianni 4 years ago was definitely a huge game changer. And I believe he is a football visionary because he realized the importance of having women who make up half of the world population involved in shaping the future of football. And now this can be seen at FIFA, where there is more gender diversity in committees, and at the FIFA Council, each confederation being represented by at least one female member, at a member association and amongst FIFA also senior management. FIFA has also invested $1 billion into women football for the current 2019-22 cycle to grow the women game and on off the pitch. And last year, we began to see the fruit of investing in women's football with the most successful FIFA Women's World Cup ever. Before kickoff, we hosted the first ever Global Women Football Convention. We're delighted, Carol, to have you taking part in that convention, and as well as several political leaders, social influencers, and distinguished global figures who attended. This was followed by a fantastic FIFA Women World Cup tournament that saw 1.12 billion people around the world tune in to watch it and on TV, and almost 500 million people follow it on digital platform, which was quite exceptional. We have built on this by creating the Women's Football Administrators Handbook to help administrative staff among our member association, the FIFA Development Program booklet, and the physical analysis of the FIFA Women World Cup, and finally the FIFA Women World Cup Club Solidarity Report, all of which have been made available digitally. And in addition, since the pandemic started, our women's football division has conducted over 500 Zoom calls with our member association and women's football stakeholders to support them during this difficult time, including preparing project to be submitted to FIFA under the FIFA Relief Program. And all FIFA business now takes human rights into consideration, and following the package of landmark report reform that was unanimously approved by the member association in 2016 to uphold and protect them. Sexual violence and gender-based assault are taken very seriously by FIFA, and we created a child safeguarding department to work with our member association and the confederation on this extremely important issue. I think the ultimate illustration of FIFA's wokeness spirit lies in our recognition that there is a global problem of racism, Carol, and we are committed to tackling racism and rooting it out of football, a game so beloved around the world. And part of our blueprint for the coming years is making football truly global. Our vision for 2020-2030, which includes two fundamentally important pillars on racism and human rights, and these are meant to reinforce FIFA commitment to fighting against racism and uprooting all forms of discrimination from the beautiful game. We introduced in 2017 already a three-step procedures to all FIFA competition that provides authorities with the option of stopping matches if discriminatory behaviors occur in order to tackle it head on. And I believe that FIFA's response to the tragic death of George Floyd earlier this year really showed that we have become a modern organization with its fingers on the pulse on issues that matters and is truly work. So I have an opportunity also to highlight a simple message via my Twitter account that Black Lives Matter and that racism should be nowhere in society. And of course, wokeness is an ongoing process, as we all know, But I'm proud to say that at FIFA, there is more diversity, understanding, and willingness to use football as a tool for positivity and for change now than ever before.
Thank you so much, Madam Samoura. I'm going to ask you a final question. And this is just continuing to celebrate you as well and the strides that you take. Recently, you were inducted into the International Women's Forum Hall of Fame alongside some really revered women like Maya Angelou, our very own here in South Africa, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, Rosa Parks, Erland Johnson, Sirleaf, and quite a few. You continue to add to your wonderful accolades from around the globe. You're such a source of inspiration, especially to Africans. We're very, very proud of you, Fatma. How does this make you feel to be this individual that so many people, celebrate around the world?
Well, thank you, Carol. I'm indeed very privileged and honored to have been introduced into the International Women Forum Hall of Fame alongside all the trailblazing women you just mentioned. And of course, I'm very humbled by your kind words too. And I do recognize that being the first Black woman to hold this position at FIFA is a game changer. And I try to inspire other Africans and minorities via my actions. I use my privilege to be an ally for those experiencing problems and ask them what I can do to help. In short, I try to be woke too. And although this year has been the world into a state of semi-hibernation, I believe that it has simultaneously provided us with an opportunity to awaken ourselves to what is important and to see how we can reshape the world of football to make it more resilient to the kind of pandemic we are currently experiencing and bring positivity to people's life. At FIFA, we believe that this is using football to bring positivity to people, and we are more committed than ever to do so. And I would like also, before we conclude, also to highlight that this week, World Football Summit Live has given us all great food for thought. And I don't wish to reopen a debate, but for the sake of balance and fairness, it's necessary for me to address the lack of FIFA's participation in the yesterday afternoon discussion on football agent. And from what I gathered, FIFA was not given the opportunity to address many incorrect facts that was stated during this discussion. And Carol, as you know, FIFA has always shown full commitment and availability to the World Football Summit event, and our president, in fact, concluded the last forum, and our chief legal and compliance officer, Emilio Garcia, took part in a discussion on Wednesday about integrity in football. So, in the spirit of integrity and fairness, we would have welcomed an invitation for a FIFA representative and expert to take part in yesterday's discussion on football agents to provide more informative, insightful, and balanced facts for the World Football Summit live audience. But once again, I don't want to open a debate, but I hope that we will be given a chance to correct a lot of incorrect facts that were shared yesterday. And I would like to thank you for asking me to take part today as your closing speaker, and I look forward to seeing the next edition of this important event for the global football industry. And thank you, Eva, thank you, David, thank you, Carol, and thank you to the audience for your patience and your understanding. And hope to see you again
Great
soon.
stuff. Thank you so much. Keep well, Madam Samoura. David, that was positive. So in future, a future edition of WFS Live, remember, we need to give more of a platform to FIFA to get involved.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I think it is something that that we've noted, and we'd like to say thank you to Ms. Fatma Samoura for saying that. I think it's very important. And listen, both you and I, Carol, as journalists at heart, right? We know about the importance of right to reply. And we don't want one-sided discussions. What we would like to do is facilitate discussions. So I'm sure that in future what we can do, especially with you, Carol, by my side, and with Ms. Fatma Samoura, or someone from FIFA and someone from the agent side of things, I think we would love to have that discussion, open, frank, honest, and truthful. And that would be lovely to see. I think everyone would chime with those sentiments. But honestly, Ms. Fatma Samoura, great to hear from you. I think there was some fantastic, well thought out, considered, uplifting sentiments in what you had to say there. We really do appreciate it. And it's great to have FIFA represented here on day 5 of WFS Live. I can't think of any better way for us to close this event. And Carol, many thanks to you as well. It's always a delight to work with you. And hopefully we'll be able to come and see you in person in Africa sometime soon. That would be nice, wouldn't it? In 2021 or beyond.
Yeah.
Let's hope for a brighter future on that score as well. Many, many thanks indeed to you both. Well, to officially now close this WFS Live event, I'd like to introduce the Director of World Football Summit, Marianne Otamendi.
Hi, nice to be with you all. Mrs. Samoura, thank you very much for closing the event. As David has said, we definitely notes, okay, point taken. I don't know why, I mean, you were not yesterday at the panel discussion, but we will make sure that we will give you the platform and the word you deserve. Thank you so very much to FIFA and for you for closing the event, okay? And I would also like to say thank you to David, okay? David is definitely the star of this event. I don't know how you managed to maintain all this enthusiasm throughout the week. So thank you very much for being once again our big star. And for all the viewers and attendees of the event, thank you very much for your support. In this edition, we had over 2,000 of them. 150 panelists were having discussions, over 49 panels. And the conclusion we would like to make is that we are so proud of belonging to this strong industry where people are really reinventing themselves in such a disruptive times. We have so many people pushing forward, all the winners today and the industry awards doing their best for the football show to go on. So we are very sure that we will be together very soon. We made a total success out of this event, but believe me, we are so looking forward to seeing you face to face. Okay, we want to go back to presential events. I'm sure you do as well. So at the latest, okay, remember that we have a date, 22nd and 23rd of September next year. We will be meeting in Madrid, okay? Hopefully, we will be able to give you a surprise earlier than that, and perhaps, towards the end of June, we are already in the position to see each other in a second edition, Asian edition of World Football Summit, okay? But for the time being, I would like to thank you all for the support, also the whole team of World Football Summit for always being there, working so hard, okay? We are so proud of you all, guys. So thank you very much again. And I will just leave you with a small video on the outcome of this week. Thank you very much and see you all very soon in Madrid at the latest.